Good evening and welcome to episode 135 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz. I've got my pink on here as we are going to talk about the great card this Friday. It is Kentucky Oaks Day at Churchill Downs. Please make sure you subscribe on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Hit that notification bell so you know new content will arise and you can watch. And then also smash that thumbs up button. That'll tell YouTube this is a great show. Of course, on my name tab, you can reach me on Twitter at HKravitz. And on the bottom of the screen, hkravitzhorse at gmail.com. We have a fantastic show. We have fantastic guests and co-hosts ready to come on. Let's clean up a few quick things before we get into a fantastic Kentucky Oaks Day at Churchill Downs. Let me go ahead and share my screen. We'll jump right into it, folks. First of all, let's talk about what's happening tomorrow. Whoops, got a little bit. Let me fix that here. Let's talk about what's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow on the show is fantastic. It's going to be exclusively about the Kentucky Derby Day. And let me go ahead and see if this is working a little better. There we go. Kentucky Derby Day. Again, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be discussing all the stakes, late pick 5, detailed analysis of the Kentucky Derby, all the bets that go along with it, with a special guest, the 2021 NHC champion, Justin Mustari, is going to join us. It's going to be a fantastic show. We're very excited for that. Also, meant to bring that on the screen. Let's also talk about a few other things. The podcast pool has been on fire. We have a lot of people that are interested, and perhaps our guest tonight might be interested in buying in as well. Pool number 4 starts this weekend. If you want detailed information, you can see it on the screen. If you're if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Anchor, you might want to go to the YouTube channel and check out the video replay of the show. But again, it's the pool will be bets on usually Saturdays, pick 5s, etc. If you're interested in buying the podcast pool, the deadline is Friday noon Eastern. Again, the deadline for podcast pool 4 is Friday noon Eastern Standard Time. So if you are interested in it, you need to hop on it. If you have more details or you need more details or you have questions, you can email me, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. Or again, click below the video player. There is a show more button, and you can click there and look in to that. But again, if you want a part of the superfecta that we're playing, you must buy in the podcast pool. You cannot do that separately. You can play the podcast pool without playing the superfecta, but if you do want to be a part of the superfecta, you do need to join the podcast pool. It's a lot of fun. Highly recommend you guys take a look at that. Also, we have a race day blog. The race day blog are my spot plays, price plays that I send out. If you'd like to make your own bets, but you would just like my opinions, then the blog is the place to go. It's only $3 every Saturday. I'm currently hitting at over $4 with my ROI. Last week it was absolutely on fire. I also give ABC grids, pick 4s, pick 5s, etc. It's a fantastic blog. Again, it's through Patreon. If you're interested in that, there's the information on the screen, and also again below the video player, you can check that out as well. I believe that's going to take care of everything that we need to. Again, of course, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Anchor. You can listen there as well. We have a lot to talk about tonight. We have a lot of people watching. Let's see who's already commented in before I bring on my co-host and my guest. We've got Jared Bush is here. I see Ken. Ken, you're exactly right. Ken Heil, I hope that I pronounced that correctly. Hello, Ken. I believe you're new to the show, or at least new to the comments. Yeah, the weather we're going to be talking about for sure. We got Jared Bush is here. He likes Cyberknife. If it's muddy, of course, that's on Saturday. Stan, again, is here from Arkansas. We got Phil Conti from Saratoga. We've got, Robert from Frisco, Texas. That's what I love about this show, guys. It just brings everyone together. We've got High Risk from the West Coast representing Southern California. So we got people all over the place from all over the country. K2 K2, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on. We've got a lot of new people. This is really awesome and exciting. Please make sure, everyone, you comment on the top right-hand side of the screen if you are on YouTube. If you are watching this on Twitter right now, thank you very much. You might want to jump over to YouTube if you can, because then you can join our live chat. But certainly if you're watching us from the Twitter universe, thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think let's ready to go because we got a lot to talk about today. First, before I bring on our guest tonight, let's bring on our fantastic co-host that have been getting a lot of love on Twitter and other places and justly deserve. I'm so happy these two gentlemen are my co-hosts. Let's bring them on from the East Coast, Pete Visco and Paul Halloran. Guys, are we ready for Oaks Day?
Let's do it.
Paul, how you doing tonight? There, yes, he's got the counter going. I feel like it's a telethon.
Fancy.
I think we're over that, actually. I think I saw 1034. But anyway, that's the number of subscribers for people who have no idea what we're talking about. Paul, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Howard. Hello, Pete.
Hey, Paul.
Paul, so your name tag's a little bit, in front of your face because your camera angle. You might want to slightly move the camera down. There we go. I think that's to be better. Or back up a little bit. Perfect. All right, guys. Kentucky Oaks Day. It's gonna be a great day. I believe there's 13 races. I just handicapped. I don't know about you guys. I handicapped 27 races in the last 48 hours. And yes, I did go to school, and yes, I did teach the students. So I did do my job, just trying to handicap off times. Let's go ahead and bring in our guest, as he's been waiting very patiently, ladies and gentlemen, to help us with the handicapping tonight. I'd like to bring on a special guest. He's a Chicago guy like me, very successful handicapper, especially in the contest world. He's been doing it a long time. I have a lot of respect for this guy. Let's welcome to the show from Chicago, Frank Mustari. Frank, how you doing tonight?
Great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Frank.
Absolutely. Frank, it's a real pleasure to have you. A few quick things about Frank for people that are not familiar with Frank, and then I'll let him add to it and introduce himself. Like I said, very successful in the contest world. His latest big score, and Frank, correct me if I'm wrong, he won the 2021 last year's Grade 1 Gamble at Keeneland, collected a lot of cash with the trifecta in the last race. He's played a lot of contests. Of course, he's father of Justin Mustari, who just won the NHC last year, and Frank has had many other successful scores. In fact, his entire family is very much into the handicapping world. Frank, before I steal your thunder, why don't you introduce yourself to the HHH Racing Podcast? Just to let you know, we do have a lot of experienced people that watch the show, but we also have some younger viewers and people with not quite as much handicapping experience. So please go ahead and add to the wonderful resume that you have that I just mentioned.
Yeah, well, besides Keeneland last year, actually my latest biggest score, I followed that up by winning the Belmont Derby Day contest too. So I play all the live money contests wherever they're at, basically. And I'm a Gulfstream guy. I play Gulfstream every day of the year, and a lot of people make fun of me, give me crap because I play it throughout the summer. But I like betting on the horses that I know, and I can almost handicap them off an overnight, and that's where I get my edge, and so that's why I stay in mainly one pool on my daily stuff, and then all the contests and all the big days I follow.
So I've got to jump right to this question: do you bet the Tapeta at Gulfstream?
I do, and I was not very successful for the first few months, and I'm still not very successful, and it's caused me to complain about it a lot, and if they don't change it and go back to what Aiden Butler's saying, that they're going to use it only when they're off the turf, it might get me to change circuits. And it's a circuit I love and been with for 10 years, but it's just too much unpredictability playing, 3 different courses. And, I won't stick around long if they don't change it by the championship meet. That's for sure.
I hear that's another conversation for another day. I'll just end that point by saying, I had an off-the-record conversation at Christine Lee's with Ron Nicoletti and a few other people. I won't mention what they said, but let's just say that everyone's hoping that they fix that situation and the timing situation too. But again, that's a whole other show for another day. Frank, you have a little baseball background. I'm sure we have a lot of sports fans. Can you tell everyone your very exciting baseball and softball accolades as well?
Yeah, I played college baseball at Illinois State. I was drafted by the Dodgers way back in 1987. Spent 2 years in their organization and loved every minute of it. And great organization to play for. And when I got released, I needed something to do, and it wasn't always horses. But I got involved in outside of Chicago, no one's probably going to know this, but 16-inch softball, which was a major sport in Chicago. I got involved in that and played with some of the best teams in the country for a bunch of years and was inducted to the 16-inch softball Hall of Fame that we have here in Chicago. So that was what got my fill, of my competitive edge for a long time, and have always been involved in horses. So now that I can't run anymore, I do horses mainly.
Well, listen, we're really happy to have you on. We appreciate all the time you're going to give us tonight. Gentlemen, let's quickly just set up what's happening now on Friday for everyone that's listening. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and take the banner here off the screen. So it's Kentucky Oaks Day. They have 13 races. Now, we're not going to talk about all 13 tonight. We are going to mainly focus, ladies and gentlemen, on the late pick 5, which is races 7 through 11. However, there are 2 undercard stakes we're going to talk about very briefly, guys, very briefly. Race 5 and race 6. Those are the first 2 races that we're going to talk about. Before we do that, I want to bring up the wagering menu, and let me go ahead and again switch screens here. So and it's a little bit small. I'm going to go full screen. This is the wagering menu, courtesy of Churchill Downs for Friday. Now you can see they've got obviously win, play, show, exacta tries, supers, daily doubles in every race. Let me scroll down here, almost around. They have 4 pick 5s starting race 1, 3, it looks like 7 and 9. We're going to be focused on the pick 5 that starts in race 7. They also have a Derby City pick 6. They've got some special pick 3s going. I've got another screen I'll show you in a minute. In race 11, you can see there on the screen, they've got the Oaks Derby Double, which is a $1 bet. They also have the Oaks big turf race Derby pick 3 that starts in race 11. So they've got a lot of different bets going on. I've got another screen that I want to bring up for everyone. Just be patient here, and I'll get it up on screen if I can find. This is the one I want right there. Okay, there's a little better. You can see again the Oaks Derby Double, the Oaks Forester Bourbon Turf Classic Derby pick 3. There is a 2-day Oaks Derby pick 6, which perhaps Frank. I'll have to ask Frank here in a minute if he enjoys playing horizontally and likes the pick 6. But that is a $2 base bet. The Oaks Derby pick 6, everyone. And then of course they've added things. They've an all 3-year-old. Pick 3. They've got an all stakes, all dirt pick 3. If you like betting, this is definitely the weekend to do it for sure. I'm gonna let's go back, Frank, real quick before we get into the races. Of all those bets, is there a particular bet that you are most interested that will either happen on Oaks Day or starts on Oaks Day and carries into Derby Day?
Well, now that you said the pick 6 that combines both days, I didn't even know that was out there. So
yeah,
I'll have to look into that. But other than pick 6 and maybe pick 5s on occasion, I play race by race because if I don't have an opinion in a race, I'm not just taking a guess usually. So I'm a big trifecta, superfecta guy. So with the pools as big as they are, I can make a nice score in any one of these races the next few days.
Just have a quick whip around. So Frank's more a vertical player. Pete, of all those bets, any 2-day bets you might play? Are you going to focus just more on Saturday? What's your thought right now?
I probably need to look. I do like the 2-day bets, but it depends on what the opinions are, and I don't want to go crazy on a ticket. But I do, the $2 pick 6 can get expensive real quick if you don't have really strong opinions in a few of the races. The Oaks Derby Double is just a fun one, just to combine the 2 marquee races of the weekend. So probably dip around a little bit, and it's always happy to spend some money somewhere, unfortunately.
Well, rumor has it you have a little money from last weekend. If you're new to the show, you're not aware, Pete Visco hit the late pick 5 twice at Santa Anita for 6,200. Yours truly also hit it for only once, but I was alive to a bunch of others for multiple times. It just thankfully Pete sort of tipped a 20-1 morning line shot out. Otherwise, I'm not sure I would have used that horse. Paul, very quickly before we get into the handicapping, last question. Any of those bets we talked about, Paul, that you either have interest in this year or you've had interest in the past?
I will play the double, and I will look at the pick six. Just as Pete says, in the event, you think you can narrow anywhere. I'll be honest with you, I might end up going narrow in the closing leg, the Derby, and taking my chances there. But I'm more of a horizontal pick five player, so I'll be dipping into some of those pick five pools.
Let me answer Dean's question, and then, guys, I promise we're going to go right to the handicapping. I actually read about this today. It's been 10 cents. It's been other things. One of the main reasons, I know this sounds crazy to some people, and actually to me it makes a lot of sense. When you have a lot of people betting the 10-cent super, it takes a long time to actually spit out the ticket out of your mouth and say it. And there's been huge delays in lines at the tellers, and that's actually been a major concern. I found that interesting. So that's one of the main reasons, Dean, they're going to $1 is actually it just takes too freaking long for people to actually physically make that bet at the tracks, which I think is fascinating. I actually like it. I like when the base bets, I don't know how you guys feel. I like when the base bets are a little bit higher. I mean, it separates I think the real true best handicappers from people who are just throwing numbers in because it's their favorite birthdays or whatnot. So it is going to be difficult, but I'm very excited. And actually, speaking of that, I think this is a perfect time to bring this up, guys. We have a lot of people. In case you're wondering, should I play in the podcast pool or should I play in the superfecta? I'm going to bring this. Actually, you guys won't be able to see it. I'm going to rattle off. I know that I'm on screen. I have something else that I'm looking at personally right now. Just to let everyone know, we have almost $4,000 right now, almost $4,000 into the $1 superfecta bet that we're going to play. That's without my money as well. And we have, are we ready? Drum roll. $8,000 in the podcast pool. That means every week we're going to be able to bet a $2,000 into bets. I'm going to rattle off some names very quickly. The names I rattle off right now are the people that are part of the podcast pool as of a few hours ago. Real quickly, Bill Mack, Brad A., Brendan F., Brian D., Bruce G., Damon M., David D., David L.A., David L.U., Dean G., Derek P., Donald R., Edward M., Jim P., Joe S., we're halfway done, John L., Joseph W., Ken Z., Kevin M., Lee F., Leo C., Leonard W., Mark D.E., Matt M., Michael C., Paul B., Paul C., almost done, Ramon C., Richard B., Steve H., Tim B., Vincent R., and William C. That is all the people currently right now as part of the podcast pool, and that was as of a few hours ago. If you've signed up in the last few hours, you're not on that list. All right, guys, it's very exciting. Let's jump in. Are we ready to talk about Oaks Day 2022? Here we go. We're going to start in race 5, and we're going to be whipping around. Now, I do have banners starting in race 7. Gentlemen on the screen here, my wonderful co-hosts and guests, we're going to do 5 and 6 real quick, literally 10 seconds a guy, maybe just your top pick, because I'm not showing banners for this. So let me go ahead and share my screen here, and we will get started. There we go. Let me go like this. All right. The first race that we're going to talk about is race 5. It's a Modesty. It's a grade 3. Again, this is outside of the late pick 5, or older fillies and mares, 1 1/8 on the turf. The favorite at 9-5 is Bleecker Street. Real nice horse. I'll show the PPs here in a second. Frank, who do you like in this spot?
Probably not a race I'm really going to play, but if I do play some pick 4s, pick 5s, if it falls in this race here somewhere, the 1 and the 8 are the two obvious to me, but I'm going to be having some tickets with the 2 Stand Tall. I'm hoping Giroux gets real aggressive early. Maybe they let this horse have the lead and this horse can wire at a real nice price, and trying to beat the 2 obvious chalks, I thought maybe.
Yeah, 12-1 morning line. Distance should not be a problem. Pete, who do you like in this race?
I'm going lazy. I like Bleecker Street. It was a horse I think on one of our shows before the last race. This was one I called out as a single, and it actually helped me out in whatever play that was. So I just think this horse could be a monster, and it's got Pratt. It picks up Pratt. Just you're taking a horse that's already been pretty dominant, and now you go to Pratt with Brown. So I mean, not to be. I'm actually. This is one of those. I'm glad it's not in the final pick 5 sequence because I think it could be chalky.
Absolutely. Paul?
I think it's going to be hard to beat both of the obvious horses. I like Frank's idea. I would be using both, but if I were playing anyone singly, I would take the 1. I would take a shot to beat Bleecker Street with the 1, Fluffy Socks.
Okay, so he's going 8-1. I'm going 8-1-6. I think Bleecker Street could be tough, but actually, if I were to make a win bet, it might be on Fluffy Socks. Guys, I like the fact this horse's second start off the layoff, and he's also won. You can see, and I remember that this race at Pimlico. I don't know if you guys remember that race or just in general. He's run very well on soft ground. We got to talk about the weather here in just a second, but I like that Fluffy Socks has run on soft ground. Frank, I just want to say that your idea on the 2 is sort of my similar idea with the 6, Hendy Woods, who I have in third. I think second off the layoff, Ortiz is going to show more speed. I don't know what this horse was doing last time because I thought maybe in the Fairgrounds race that she'd get the lead. She does have some tactical speed. I think she's going to use it, but I agree with all you guys in general. I'm going 8-1-6. In this race. And Frank, as I bring you back, we got to talk about the weather real quick. So Friday does not look good. I assume the races before the stake races are going to be taken off the turf. A lot of these turf races don't have a lot of AEs, so I've got to believe, unless it's unsafe or there's lightning or I don't know, they're going to run on the turf. In your experience, Frank, I have seen that the inside of the turf course at Churchill can be very bad when it gets wet. But this is a new turf course. Do you have any clue as to how the turf course might play if it comes up yielding?
Oh, I would have no idea, but I'm glad you said that about the old turf course because I am starting to play Churchill for the first time in my life on a regular basis as a secondary track, so I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, for sure. And again, and Pete and Paul, just real quick, when any turf course is wet, any opinion at all? Do you prefer horses up front, closers? You think it's completely situational? What's been your experience on a very wet turf course? Either one of you.
I think for me, it's mostly situational. I mean, I like to see, if you have speed, obviously it seems like speed can hold a little bit more, but I mean, only if it's decent speed. I mean, I'm not going to take a speed horse just for the hell of it because the course is wet.
Paul?
Yeah, I think it's situational. And Howard, there's only one turf race in the first 4, so that would be the one to come off. I think it's the 3rd race.
Yep.
So this 5th race that we just talked about, that'll be the first race they really have to make a decision. And I think, the problem is they're supposed to get some rain, I think, starting tomorrow or tomorrow night. So, and they, they have these grade 1 turfs on Saturday. So, but brand new course hasn't really got much use. You would hope it's going to be able to take some water and, just do like they do in Europe. They run on it no matter what.
Yeah, you just can't worry about it. I'll just very quickly before we end of race 6. In my experience, I actually prefer horses up front. I think when the courses are firmer, that wicked late turn of foot just doesn't quite happen as much. The other thing is we've seen this before. Horses have actually gotten injured with the clods of grass like kicking up into their face, sort of like what happens on the dirt. So I'm not saying I'm taking all speed on Friday and or Saturday, but for me, I do like horses that are a little more forwardly placed if it's wet. Just my personal opinion. And I do prefer horses in the outer paths, but we have no idea. Frank is exactly right. We have no idea how this turf horse is going to play. All right, guys, let's get into the race 6. Race 6 is, again, outside of the pick 5. But again, we are briefly talking about stake races here before we get into the late pick 5. This is the La Troyenne. By the way, this is the first leg of the 2-day pick 6. Again, this is the first leg of the $2 2-day pick 6. $750,000. These are they're going mile 16th on the dirt, older fillies and mares. It looks like a 2-horse race on paper. She Dares the Devil is the 6-5 morning line favorite. Pauline's Pearl's second choice. Pete, we'll just have you again, guys. If you see us on screen, we're literally just going to be going down the screen just to make things easier for everyone here. Pete, you're going to go first. Your thoughts in this race, Pete?
Yeah, I didn't particularly like this race all that much, so I probably wouldn't play it aside from the fact that it is in that pick six maybe. But I leaned on Pauline's Pearl, and it's mostly just because the hope is that Pauline's Pearl is a little bit more on the way up and improving, as opposed to She Dares the Devil, who I'm hoping maybe is sort of coming back a little bit. And so I think this horse, after that last one, ran a nice race to CC, who's been really good in the last 6 months or so, and then before that, those couple of wins. So I'm just taking a shot, figuring it's a low price, but I think she could at least beat She Dares the Devil, which would be at least knocking a favorite out of a pick six or any other horizontal would be beneficial.
Paul?
Yeah, I exactly how I'm thinking. They are the two logicals. I went looking around elsewhere. It's a short field. There's only 7, and I was all over Pauline's Pearl last time. Thought she had a good chance, and as Pete brings out, I wasn't sure about CC in that race, and she really is. She really is on top of her game. But I think Asmussen, Rosario. I think coming off the last 2 races. She Dares the Devil won this race last year, wire to wire. She only really lost to Latruska after that. Latruska and Bonnie Selch had a really good year, but until the distaff, that of course just fell apart. But my key is Pauline's Pearl.
Yeah, I wanted to show. By the way, Pauline, there are many horses coming out of this last race. Pauline's Pearl's the 2. She Dares the Devil's the 7. Well, look what happens to Pauline's Pearl at the beginning of the race. Again, she's the 2. She's got some issues here. We're going to see the break here in a second. See, she broke a little bit slow, and boy, gets pinched and steadied back. I mean, look at this. She's climbing. This is already what a 4-length lead right out of the gate. We're not going to show the whole race. Well, actually, we'll go ahead and show the end of the race because Pauline's Pearl really is able to recover. You see, she's on the outside there in the Stone Street silks making the move. Meanwhile, She Dares the Devil has really had it completely her own way, and we'll take it deep into stretch here. You can see Pauline's Pearl goes left-handed and just doesn't quite have enough to get there, but you'd have to believe, and She Dares the Devil actually gets in third. You'd have to believe that start really hurt Pauline's Pearl. I like that effort that she showed against a few others in here. Frank, who do you like in this race?
Yeah, I'm the same way as you guys. I'm a Pauline's Pearl. I think She Dares the Devil might be going a little backwards, might not be the top of her game, and Pauline Pearl is the one. But if I was playing something, trying to be a little cute here, I would lean on the Irad horse, the 4 Battle Bling. Ever since the barn change and no Lasix in the last 3 starts, this horse has improved, and I don't see why, if something crazy happens, this horse is going to run its race, I think, and enough to at least maybe split the 2 chalks if you're playing exactas or something like that, and maybe a little luck get a victory, and that would really start out that 2-day pick 6.
Yeah, before I get back to my quick thoughts on the PPs, I've really tried very hard these last 48 hours, I don't know about you guys, is not to concern myself too much with the weather and the condition of the dirt, because as you all know, and for those of you at home, there are sloppy tracks, which are the sort of tracks usually where you see like literally puddles on the track and they're kicking up a lot of mud, but then you see like sealed wet tracks where there's not a lot of not a lot of mud being kicked up, and it's like really smooth, but it's fast. I mean, guys, we don't know exactly what the dirt's going to play, and just because a horse likes wet doesn't mean he or she likes every kind of wet course. So you can just go crazy. We're not going to focus too much, but as I go back to the PP's full screen, for those of you who don't know, again, the top right hand side of the screen of the DRF, you see there is you see wet there at the top right, and then you see a number to the right of it. That is the Tomlinson number. The higher, the better. Usually anything over 400 is very good. So if you do want to take that into consideration, which I think you should a little bit, again, you want to look for a number, ideally that's higher, of course, than everyone else. Anything over 400, great. Under 300, bad. In the 300s, is average depending on where it lands. I've got this 4-horse Frank in third. I'm not sure she classes up, but I respect your opinion. I think she's a little bit interesting. I completely agree with Pete. I really like Pauline's Pearl in this spot a lot. In fact, she's my lone A in this race. I like everything about her last race. I think she's improving. And although She Dares the Devil obviously can win, and I'm using her, I think her best days might be behind her, and there is other speed in here. I mean, Temper Time has to go, right? 113 early time form, and then the horse on the outside, Ava's Grace, has to go. So I think it might just set up nicely for Pauline's Pearl, guys. I've got 6-2-4. I have 6-2-4 in this race. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the late pick 5 on Kentucky Oaks Day, our feature bet. I will now start showing things on the bottom of the screen as well. We're going to, if you're new to the show, welcome very much. I'm the host, Howard Kravitz of the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Pete Visco, Paul Halloran, and fantastic handicapper and contest player, Frank Mustari. We're about to tackle the late pick 5 on Friday, Kentucky Oaks Day. And Frank, we're going to have you start. Paul, we're going to have you start first. It is your turn. It starts with the Ali Shiva. Let me go full screen. Again, this is the beginning of the late pick 5 on Friday. The Ali Shiva Stakes, $500,000. It's for older 4-year-olds and up. They're going a mile and the 16th on the dirt. What a nice field. You see a lot of very good horses. Some are coming off layoffs. The morning line favorite is an absolute train right now, Olympiad for Mott and Alvarado. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the PPs, 9-5. Mr. Halloran, where are we going to kick off this pick 5? You got your sound is off there, Paul.
Sorry. I'm going to go to Folsom, the 6 as my top selection in the race.
Okay.
Obviously, as you say, the 5 is going to be a handful and would be an A for me on my ABC. And I don't think the 6, I don't think you're going to get 8-1 as indicated, but had a good comeback race in the Oaklawn Mile last time. I'm going to be looking at Suzanne in a race on Saturday. I think that this horse is going to be my top play to beat. You got to beat the 5, obviously, the way the 5's running. But I'm going to go I have the 5 and 6 as A's, and then a couple of C's. The 1, I have the 1, the 2, and the 7 as C's. But my top pick is going to be Folsom.
And by the way, on the bottom of the screen right now, ladies and gentlemen, is a scroll. I prefer a scroll over a banner because we can see more of the PPs. So, and if of course you're listening to this as a replay on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Anchor, obviously you cannot see the screen. You can only hear us. So I'll try my best, or our guests and co-hosts will try our best to give our top 3 because guys, of course, they can't see the screen. Again, Paul's going 6-5-2 in this race. Folsom. I heard the morning lines, by the way, are a little bit shaky at Churchill. And by the way, I just want to say something to Paul. I felt great today. You know why? I'm in the car this morning on my way to work. I turn on the Steve Bick Show. Andy Serling is on, who, of course, is not afraid to give his opinion. And guess what's the first thing he talks about? How absolutely ridiculous, embarrassing Mike Battaglia's morning lines were this weekend. So, by the way, Frank, feel free to hate on the morning lines because I've been doing it the last few days. It's nothing personal with Mike Battaglia, who is, a credit to the game, and he's been around a long time. But Jesus, these morning lines were absolutely atrocious. All right, Frank, who do you like here in the opening leg of the pick 5?
Well, on your morning lines, I like when they're bad morning lines, because if they're bad morning lines, if people are following those morning lines and betting off it, I like to take advantage of that. So I like
Absolutely.
to see bad morning lines, to be honest with you. But here for me in this race, I think it's a no-brainer. There's no price on Olympiad. I don't think it's probably going to even be close to 9-5. I think you're probably getting even money, 4-5 on this horse, maybe. And This just looks like a horse that Bill Mott has taken his time with, getting better. He knew the horse was probably good all along, slowly went through conditions and stretching out. And I'm assuming in the back of his mind, he's thinking this is his Breeders' Cup Classic horse come November here at Keeneland too. So on every ticket, I don't, playing the pick 4s, pick 5s. This is a single for me. I'll take what I call the free square, even though it's a short number, and then I'll try to get creative later in the card.
Yeah, and you have Folsom in second. Anything you want to mention about Happy Saver, who you have in third, Frank?
Yeah, I mean, just, it just seems like whenever I'm looking for something else, I always lean on IRAD. The horses he picks, he always seems to pick the right one, and nothing too exciting about it other than him and Pletcher teaming up. Probably, no value there either, and probably he's going to get the right trip to get, suck up for second or third.
Yeah, coming off the layoff, and actually has done well at this shorter distance. So I think Happy Saver is interesting. Well, I'll talk about him in a minute. You see Pete's picks there at the bottom of the screen. Pete, I'm sure you're going to echo the same thoughts. You've got pretty much the same three that have been talked about, but you're going with Folsom on top also.
Yeah, it was more of a sort of a co pick to me. I mean, obviously you can't knock the credentials of Olympiad. He's been awesome. He's basically been one of the best horses in 2022 on paper and just watching him visually. The only reason I took a shot with Folsom, again, similar when we were talking about Pauline's Pearl, I was thinking this one might be one from 3 to 4. Just seems to be improving, was actually good last year. I mean, even 2 races back, which doesn't look great on paper, you lose to Hot Rod Charlie, Midnight Bourbon, and American Revolution, who came back with 2 monster buyer figures in races after that. So my thought was, hey, this horse has won at Churchill, is good at the distance, has run against good horses. It has Cox, second off the layoff, better price. Let me take a shot. Olympiad. He's a monster. I guess the only thing with him that you would hope if you're trying to beat him is he hasn't beaten the best competition. So he hasn't raced against those top-notch handicap horses yet. So maybe he's vulnerable. And I think the most interesting thing just in general, not to get into the horses, but you have sort of Olympiad, the new blood, Folsom and Wayburn sort of up-and-comers maybe, and then the really Happy Saver and Max Player who have such the credentials in the back class. So it just makes for a real interesting race, crossing those 3 categories against each other.
Guys, I'm going to go a little bit different here. I agree with everything you said about Olympiad. All you guys, I have nothing to add with Olympiad. This is the kind of horse, by the way, and Frank, I don't know if you feel this way from a contest perspective. I wish there was a lot more early speed or reasons, because this would be a horse I'd try to completely play against normally. But I mean, he just broke the track record last time. He has no knocks in this race. He figures to get another perfect trip. So I agree with what you guys say. Where I disagree with you guys, and no one even has them in the top 3, shame on you guys. I don't know what's wrong with you guys. Listen, I got to give a little bit of crap here. I like the fresh. I think Wayburn is fascinating here, and I'll be very brief. And I'll go ahead and full screen here. Wayburn, was pretty good last year as a 3-year-old. Not great, but good. He ran well in the wood, but that was a slow race. Almost beat Mandaloon at the Pegasus. And then throughout the Pennsylvania Derby, he was up too close, and I think he just, it wasn't his day. I love what I saw at Gulfstream. I didn't, to be honest, he's been working well, but I really didn't love him that day. The fact that he came off the layoff going 7 furlongs, which is a tricky distance, he won well, and this horse has got a huge stride. I love what I saw from this horse. He's got tactical speed. I like Gaffleone. I don't think distance is an issue, guys. It's only 1 mile and 1/16. I see no reason why this horse can't 2 turns. For me, you've got other horses coming off a layoff. Like, I'm totally against Max Player. It's amazing. This horse is 5-2. None of us have him in the top 3. I think this horse, this seems like a prep, guys. I'm sure you all agree, for something longer. I mean, he's not a 1 mile and 1/16 horse. So I'm totally against Max Player. I think Wayburn is going to sit a great trip, either possibly on the lead if they just let him go, or maybe just sitting off Olympiad. I think he's improving. This is my horse, ladies and gentlemen, that could upset Olympiad. I have Wayburn as a B, as in boy, right now in this race. And then also, just very quickly, I agree with you guys. I have Happy Saver in third because I think Happy Saver can get a shorter distance. I'm a little against Folsom because I think, number one, I think he's going to be a little bit wise guy kind of horse in this race. And number two, I don't know if you guys watched the replay of last race. That was a very fast pace, and it just completely fell apart. He ran very well, no question about it. This is a totally different pace scenario. I don't think this is going to fall apart, and this is a much, much tougher spot. I respect what you guys are saying on Folsom. I think last time was the time. So anyway, that's my opinion.
Hey, Howard,
Paul,
two
you want
things.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Paul.
one, I did have Weyburn third, so you're
Greatly apologize.
You're
My
lecturing
apologies,
us,
sir.
Mr. Teacher, on not using Weyburn is misplaced. And two, I had in my notes better at one turn ? And if you look at his 3 wins, they're all at one turn. So
We talking
he
about
has
Weyburn?
run Weyburn. He's run creditably at 2 turns, has not won at 2 turns. So, but I
Okay.
did have him third, and I think he's better at one turn.
I absolutely can't argue with that. We certainly bred to get 2 turns, obviously, but that's a very good point. Gentlemen, I think that'll take care of race 7. A real nice race. Let's go on to the next race. We go ahead and switch a few things here. Let me switch them. And by the way, our my co-host and guests and I do not know each other's picks. So the minute I switch screens, I know they're going to be interested in seeing. Let's see what they think of race 8 and. Bam! There are the picks for race 8. Let me go ahead and switch to race 8. And we're going to let Frank go first here. Frank, this is the Edgewood Stakes. This is one of the races that's on turf. It's a grade 2. This is for the fillies 3-year-olds. There's another race for the boys 3-year-olds as well this weekend. It's a mile and a 16th. You see the field there. There's 10 horses. It's hard to get all 10 on there. Moyline favorite is the 5 Dulce Zell, a horse we've actually, for Chad Brown, one of 3 Chad Browns. We've talked about this horse on the pod. We actually liked him last time. Do you like one of the Chads, or will it be someone else here, Frank?
Yeah, no, we've seen this game before. Chad Brown has three in a race, and it's very possible he runs 1, 2, 3 here. But of the 3 of his, I'm against Spicer. I do like the 5 Dulce Zell, the best there for IRAD. And I'm going to try to play in this race. I'm probably going to play some exactas if the prices are right. And I'll have a big exacta 5-4, the Amos horse, who, his last couple races, both on a good turf and respectable. I think he's going to be a good number. So I'll play some exactas, a big 5-4, and then another 3-4 exacta. And when Chad runs 1, 2, 3, I'll tear up my tickets. But that's how I'll probably play the race.
Frank, you just made the cardinal sin mistake. I want to congratulate you. You called the she a he. Great job. We all do it, Frank. That's okay. You can stay on the show. We all do it. I love your creativity, by the way, to break up the Chads. I think that's the only way you're really going to get value, right, Frank?
Yeah, that's all I'm looking for. I'm trying to, find something here to make some money. I can't play Chad Brown, and ever I would do that, even when I know they're running 1, 2, 3. But so the 4 is the only thing that I found as a price that might get some value to the race.
Real quick, Frank, we are going to talk about our horizontal pick 5. Would you use all the Chads in your pick 5, or would you just use 1 or 2, etc.?
No, in this pick 5 ticket, I would be against Spicer here. Last time, it looked like he had everything his own way, and still got run over, by the other Chad Brown horse, the 5 that I like on top. So I'd be using 3, 4, 5 in the pick 5s here. But on my main ticket, it would be the 3 and the 5 probably.
By the way, do you play Caveman straight tickets, or do you use ABC? Do you have Ticket Maker? What do you like to do if you play horizontally?
If normally I'll make some, I don't always call them A, B, and C's, even though I guess in my brain my top picks I'll play a lot heavier. But normally I wouldn't spread a lot in pick 5s, because if I don't like a race, I'm not playing the race. Whether if it's a pick 5 and I don't have an opinion, I just don't play the pick 5. So usually mine are kind of caveman, but I'm usually never more than I'll go 2 singles by 2 by 3 by 2. That's kind of how I play and try to hit it multiple times. So I probably play it a lot different than most people. But if you talk to a lot of my buddies, I kind of go for the kill a lot of times, and not so much to just turn a little profit, which I know I should at times, but my brain doesn't quite work like that.
Sounds like a true contest player, Jonathan Kitchen style. I hear you.
Yeah.
Pete, you have a fascinating horse. You're going with the 7 on top, Beechnut Trophy.
Yeah, I'm being stupid. I'm trying to beat all 3 Chads. So, that'll probably turn out sort of like Frank said. But my thought was, again, when I looked at this horse, I thought they put this horse on turf. It has steadily, the figures have been incrementally moving up ever since they went on the turf. Broke the maiden at this distance, then went a little shorter, looked pretty good. Then they stretched her back out to this distance. And if you watch that race, so watching that one, because when you first look at it, you go, I'm not sure who she, losing to that field maybe doesn't bode well for this race. But then if you watch it, had a really tough trip, was stuck on the rail. The 4-5 favorite actually died in her face. And then she had to swing wide and then had to shift out too in the lane. So I figure if this horse is good and improving and at the 10-1 morning line price, maybe we take a shot and beat one of the Chads or beat all the Chads.
Yeah, she got shuffled back. This was a great idea by Justin Christine of Trip Note Pros. Really liked this 2-horse I have on this day, and we missed the shuffle back a little bit. But she did make a very nice run late. You see in the Ramsey colors there, and probably would have won if she didn't get shuffled back on the turn. You see a very nice close there and a bunched up finish.
And wasn't really running into a hot pace or anything too.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were coming back. They were coming back to her. She was making up the ground. So you see that
the final. The final.
Yep.
I believe that's a 3/16 of a mile time. 29.3, the fastest closing final quarter there. Well, actually, sorry, final. Again, I believe it's 3/16 of anyone in the field. And then you're going with 5 Dulce Zell and these and the 3 McCulloch. Sorry, Paul, where are we going?
Well, Howard, you misnamed the race. You called it the Edgewood. It is the Chad Brown Invitational.
I'm sorry, my bad.
As Frank points out, we've all seen this movie before. I went with the 3 on top. Chad, there's a bunch of stats on Chad. He's especially good in this circumstance. Off the layoff on a graded stakes on turf, 32%. I saw this horse break her maiden at Saratoga. It was the day after the Whitney last year. She was a big favorite. This horse means a lot to Chad. Mary McCulloch was his bookkeeper when he first went out on his own, and was his longtime trusted bookkeeper who passed away 3 years ago. He was waiting to get a good horse named for her. So I think coming off the layoff, she's my pick. And as far as the horizontals, I will give it no thought other than to just use all 3 Chads equally and move on, figuring one of them is going to win.
I want to bring myself on screen, and Paul's finally came to his senses tonight because he agrees with me on the top choice. So congratulations, Steve. Just kidding. Guys, I love McCulloch. Love McCulloch. My only concern is how is she going to handle the wet turf, right? We don't know, but I'm not gonna just because I want to move on with the time here. Her maiden breaker was fantastic, and by the way, look at who she beat. Everyone, take a look at this now because it's important. I'll go full screen. She beats 3 next out winners. That was a loaded main race last year at Saratoga. Beat Consumer Spending. Who's that? Yeah, that's the horse that just beat Pizza Bianca a few weeks ago, right? So obviously Consumer Spending, another Chad, is very good. Also beat Penny Saver, who is a nice dirt horse. I know that race was on turf, but anyway, that horse is a nice one. And then Schuylerville is the other next out winner. So that was a loaded field. Now, what happened in her next start? We're not going to show the replay. She got bumped a little bit at the start. She was pretty much wide the entire way, and it was a very slow pace. And she lost, but look how she was bet. I mean, she was bet like she couldn't lose. She still, I just want to show the stretch run just for everyone very quickly because I think it's worth seeing. I'm just going to go right to the stretch run right now. So she's way out here. Look how you can see how wide she is, and it was a very slow pace. Here's the horse that wins is up front, and she still runs on very well. You see she's in the back of the pack. She closes just as well as about anyone else here. And I also wanted to show you the gallop out real quick. She's still coming. I know you're saying for a 1 to 5 shot, this is not very good. And I understand what people are saying. But again, watch the gallop out here because to me that does matter. I mean, look at this. She's already past the field, way past the field here, and she was way far back. It was completely against the flow, blah, blah, blah. Here's the last thing I want to say, and this might be the most important thing. and I know Pete and Paul know this. Frank, I'm a big works guy. I have XBTV. I don't know if you see the works on XBTV or whatnot. McCulloch has been completely outworking, and I saw the works, guys. This is not someone told me or I just looked at times. I watched 2 of McCulloch's works down in Florida. She has been completely outworking a horse called L'Imperator. And if you don't know that horse, that is a stake horse for Chad. So she's been outworking an older a mare that's a stakes horse. I think this horse has monster upside. I would love 7-2. All right, there we go. If she's ready, I think she's a winner. She's got to handle the wet. Let's move on, guys. I apologize for going on so long, but this is one of my stronger opinions of the day, for better or for worse. Josie Zell obviously can win. That would be my other one. Let's go on to the next race. Race 9. I'm going to switch my picks here on this, or everyone's picks. There's the picks on the bottom of the screen. Race 9. We're going to start with Pete Visco is going to kick us off here in race 9. This is the 8 bells. Every time I see the 8 bells, I get excited. I think you guys know why. I'll wait to talk about it when it's my turn. It's a grade 2. It's for restricted for 3-year-old fillies. They're going a very tricky distance of 7 furlongs. Pete, you're going with the 8. Sorry, there's the field. I apologize. Morning line favorite is the 8. Matarea, I believe, for Brad Cox it's pronounced. That's who you're going with, Pete.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not too exciting. 5-2 favorite, but I mean, you have the connections. You have Cox and Pratt, and I just like this horse. I thought just looking at the form and the figures. I mean, this horse really took a leap from 2 to 3, going from being in the mid to upper 70s, low 80s. Now pops a 91 and 94. So for these connections too, you know that's just something. There's improvement going there. And even the last race of last year, look, I mean, yeah, second by 8 to Secret Oath, but still the only horse that beat her is sort of a monster. And then I think this one could just sit off the speed and sort of pounce. So hopefully just be real tactical, get a nice trip, maybe sit second, third, and just pounce and sort of beat this field. This one I was considering this one as a potential single. I definitely like some other horses, so would probably have sort of a B ticket and go a little deeper just in case she gets beat at a low number. But I do like this horse on top.
By the way, this 5-2 ain't happening. I mean,
no
way.
chance.
This horse has
no chance.
Right? These here we go, Paul. Here we go. I mean, this horse got a 91 and 94 buyer, which sort of towers over the field, and she's going to be 5-2 with Pratt and Cox. Okay, sure, why not?
Howard, it's almost like I want you to talk about the weather just so you stop talking about the morning line.
All right. Well, but you know what, though?
The weather talk is incredibly boring.
You know what, though? I think Frank made an excellent point. I mean, if people don't think the morning line makes a difference, especially horizontally, it absolutely makes a difference. Paul, talk about your top choice, sir.
Well, speaking of obligatory, Howard, we know that obligatorily you will talk about obligatory in the 8 bells.
I will.
I think this race could have a similar flow. I really think this race might fall apart.
Totally agree.
I have in my notes meltdown, i.e. obligatory. So I'm always looking for a turn back at 7 furlongs anyway. And I came up with the 4, the California horse. Coming out of the Santa Anita Oaks, Desert Dawn is flying under the radar in the Oaks later on the card, but some people like her, but by all accounts, it was not the strongest Santa Anita Oaks, but it's still a major 3-year-old race, a major prep for the Kentucky Oaks. This horse turning back, Tyler Gaffleone. I have no idea if the morning line is good, bad, or ugly, but I know, she's got to be at least 8-1, I think, down from a 12-1 morning line. And I think there are some knocks against the other horses. The 3 is going to be tough, 5 for 5, going one turn. Pete talks about the 8. Obviously, the 8 is formidable, but in a sequence where you might not have a lot of prices, I'm going to take a stab that this might be the race we get a big number home.
Hey, Howard, what can I just throw one, since we haven't had any stats yet on this one?
Absolutely, jump in here.
One stat for the 4 there that Paul's going to be mad at me for, but I saw D'Amato is 2 for 51 on the win end shipping to Churchill. So again, I don't know what that means, but that's a relatively decent sized number. So that was because I like this horse too, and I like this horse to hit the board potentially, but that scared me a little bit on the win end, aside from the fact that I think it needs to improve a bit to probably beat this field.
Frank, you have a horse on top that Paul likes in second, Pete likes in second also. I actually don't have on my ticket, so maybe I'm completely wrong here because you guys are excellent
Wouldn't be the
handicappers.
first time. Would not be the first time.
Listen, take it easy out there. He's feeling his oats out on the East Coast. Frank, talk about gerrymander.
Yeah, I think the 8 is going to be way less than morning line 5-2. Everybody's right there. So anybody else in the race is going to be big value, I think. And not that I'm against Monterey, but there's a lot of speed signed up here for sure, in my opinion. And I'm not quite sure that this horse wants to pass a lot of horses, yet. And at a real short number, I'm going to take a chance against definitely the most talented horse, but gerrymander, a Chad Brown again. And I'll preface this by saying the next time I cash a bet on Joel Rosario will be my first in my life.
Wow.
And that's not very good because he wins so many races and so many big races. But when we get to the next race, it's going to happen again, unfortunately. But gerrymander, Chad Brown, working great. And I think this horse is going to get the trip. And again, I'm not a big work guy, but a lot of bullets in there, working real fast. And I'm just hoping that this is a meltdown. If it's a meltdown, I'll be spreading here in my pick 5 ticket, using 5, 6, 9, 10 in my plays there. But the 6 will be my, I'll have pressure on my pick 5 ticket with the 6 here for sure.
I want to bring up a comment.
To get a trip.
Racing downwind, you're exactly right. I need to change this on the channel, and I would. I've been sort of touting this as the late pick 5. What I mean is really the all stakes pick 5, the big pick 5 that ends in the Oaks. But racing downwind, you are correct. There is another pick 5 that ends the last 5 races of the card. So I just wanted to tell everyone we are handicapping, races 7 through 11. If you want to call it the middle pick 5, that's fine. It's the major pick 5 of the day. But racing downwind is correct. There is another pick 5 at the end of the card. I love your thought here, guys, on gerrymander, Frank. This is definitely a spread. All right, here we go, guys. Now, I'll be brief, but I got to toot my own horn a little bit. If you're new to the show, last year in the 8 bells, I touted obligatory, and I talked about obligatory a good 10 minutes. I mean, I love this horse, and I got lucky. Everything worked out. She won at 16-1. It was my best score at that point on my relatively new podcast, and I got a lot of people some money, and I was really happy about it. Of course, I've been wrong many times after that. Just like anyone, but obligatory was for the first time in a long time, I was like standing up, fist pumping, really because I was happy for everyone else, really, not as much for me, because I know a lot of people probably use obligatory. Are we ready for Howard's obligatory in the 8 bells? And it is not a horse that anyone has mentioned yet. Here we go. I like the 10. Sweet Danny Girl, who, by the way, is not going to be 16-1. Sorry, everyone. Not going to be 16-1. Here's my quick thoughts on Sweet Danny Girl. Look at her first 2 starts when she was sprinting. And she was a 2-year-old, right? 84, 86, closing well, doing it well, absolutely no knocks. You got to love everything about it. By the way, for the aforementioned Carl Vacareza, Frank, so maybe if he wins this race, he'll be going back to his own restaurant and treating people for dinner. Now, after that, was up closer on November 27th. I don't know why, but that's not the way that she wants to be ridden. In the Devona Dale, I'm not going to show the replay, again, was up close, going a mile, off the layoff against Kathleen O, and still ran on well. Guys, here's my thought. There is a lot of early speed in this race. This reminds me so much of last year. Take a look at what we got here. Pretty Birdie has to go. Right, everyone? Has to go. She's going.
Yep.
What is Marissa's Lady going to do from the inside? She has to go, right? Ain't Easy, I think, is an interesting horse. She's going to take it back. Wicked Halo is not slow. Her best races are on the lead. I think she's got to be used early. La Vue Desert or Desert, whatever, I don't know, Desert probably. Um, she's got some early speed. Matarea, I completely agree with Frank. I know that she looks obvious, but what I've noticed is she's gotten 2 perfect trips just off the lead in slow paces. And guys, I don't think she's going to be sitting off a slow pace this time. In fact, I almost guarantee she's not. So I expect her to regress. Maybe she'll just win by 10. I don't know. I believe Sweet Danny Girl, if ridden correctly, is going to be taken off the pace, is going to make a monster close. I love the 1 mile prep for this. Sweet Danny Girl, 9-1. Your 8 bells winner. Go to the bank. Anyone of you guys want to chime in before we move on? Tell me I'm wrong.
Can I poo-poo one thing for you real fast? You know that I
do
like
it.
to do. I like
poo all over me, Pete Visco.
Just I don't think that's going to get us more viewers. Keep talking about that. But the one stat I had was poor Carlo is 0 for 12 wins and in the money in any graded stakes race. Now I don't think this is like a top-notch graded stakes race by any means, but again, just something to point out that people can use as a data point.
Paul or Frank, I mean, does this horse have a shot, or you just don't like her?
Yeah, no, I agree with you a little bit. The only problem that I'll go against what you're saying is I don't think there's any chance at all that Jose Ortiz wants to sit and take back with any horse, unfortunately. A different rider, I think I might, but I think, he's always seems to be going and from the outside post. I don't think he's going to want to take back, but I definitely think this horse is going to run better than a lot of people think, in my opinion. The only problem I'm having, and I don't know if you guys have watched Churchill for the first 3 days, I'm a little skeptical that it's playing not so much front, but a little bit more inside. And to make any sweeping, even 3-wide move, those horses for the first 3 days have been flattening out real bad to me. And I'm talking about some real strong chalks that I think should have ran better. And I know we're going to get some rain, so things could change, but that's something that I watch for all week. I didn't bet much today because I want to learn Churchill, but I'm a little leery of some of my plays later in the weekend that the track plays the way it is. I might have to downgrade some stuff, unfortunately.
Wow, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I appreciate those thoughts. Guys, we're planning about half an hour more in the show, so let's move on. We're going to go ahead into the penultimate race of the, not late pick 5, but of the all stakes pick 5, the major pick 5. Let me pull this up on screen. This is the race before the Kentucky Oaks. It is race 10. And boy, is this a complete, total cluster. Of course, it's a turf sprint. It's the Twin Spires Turf Sprint Stakes, grade 2, going off at about 4:51 Eastern Standard Time. It's a big field. You see I scroll down the field here. The mowing line favorite is the number 10, Arrest Me Red, for Ward and Irad Ortiz at 4-1. Pete, I'm going to have you go first. We can see the picks that are on the screen. We are very different, all of us in general, because this is just a very tough race. Pete, you like, as I'm just waiting, the 10, just like me.
Just like
Arrest Me Red.
That very rarely happens. Yeah,
it does actually.
Although when we get to our pick 5 tickets, I have quite the spread in the ticket that I sent you. So this was one where I think I texted you earlier. I was like, this race is a monster. It's just a beast because it's so. If Golden Pal, it's only missing Golden Pal, then we would have the runaway winner. But in this one, it's just so wide open to me. So I went with Arrest Me Red. I just thought this horse was. You have Wesley Ward, who's really good, second off the layoff. This horse is 2 for 3 at the distance, wins 3 for 3 in the money, should be part of the speed, so should be able to work out a decent trip, even from the 10 hole. Lost last time out, actually was sort of against his normal style. So he was sort of off the pace. And I thought when I watched that race, and it's not like he lost to a bum. Yes, I Am Free is a pretty good improving horse. And I watched the race and I just thought the ride by Irad was just a little passive and wasn't overly aggressive. I thought he had holes and he just didn't take advantage of them. And I thought he could have. And I mean, when you have the even money favorite, that's the thing that pisses you off. If you had that horse as the favorite, is you're like, you should run like you're the best horse in the race. And I didn't think he did that day. So I'm hoping he just comes back and he's been working pretty well for, second time off the layoff. Is always just a strong angle because this horse should really be fit. And if you look back at those last two races from last year's, popping the 195 buyers, I think those are near the top of this field and puts him right in contention.
I just want to bring us all back real quick. Just to let everyone know, I've been touting a surprise guest. This person is coming on very soon. So if you're listening, watching, whatever, I do have a surprise guest. Even the guys on screen do not know this person will be coming on to help us out with the Kentucky Oaks. So this person will be coming on literally in about 5 or 6 minutes. Let me go ahead and back. Let's go to Paul. Paul, you've got the 2 on top. A horse that I've actually chased a few times. I'm not really sure what to do with him here. The Learjet for Brendan Walsh.
Yeah, I agree with everyone as far as how difficult the race is. On my ABC play at this point, I have 6 of the 13, and I suspect I'll be using at least that. I really don't have an excuse for the Shakertown. The horse didn't break. It never really ran a step. It's obviously not a good sign that Tyler leaves for the Cox horse next door, Caravel. But if you look at the Kentucky Downs race, which admittedly was an extra furlong, a 92 puts you right in the mix in this race. If you're playing, if you're looking at numbers. That Kentucky Downs race was off a little bit of a layoff. This is second off a layoff. Brendan Walsh had a pretty good Keeneland meet. This is a good move for him, 2 off the layoff. And, when I look at a race like this that's this difficult, I really am trying to get a price home. And the Learjet will be one of my A's in this race.
You would assume that if the turf comes up very wet, that won't be a problem. I mean, he was racing in Europe, right? So, I mean, you'd figure.
Yeah, he has the juvenile turf back in 2020 was on a good turf at Keeneland, but obviously that's a stacked field, and that was his first time in the U.S. and did not run well. But and didn't run well at Keeneland last race, so maybe a good turf isn't going to be good. Maybe I should listen to Howard and stop paying attention to the weather instead of complaining about Howard talking about the weather.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of bigger numbers there. You've got the 3, and then you have Caravel in second, very speedy horse of Brad Cox, and then you have Arrest Me Red in third.
Agree with what Pete had to say about Arrest Me Red. I think he's pretty logical. I got him as a B right now, but that's subject to change. He could get promoted if he studies hard between now and Friday afternoon.
Okay. Frank and I have similar opinions with the 8 and 9 underneath. We just don't have – we have completely different on top. And Frank is going with a West Coast invader, but has been on the East Coast at least once at Belmont. Gregorian Chant for D'Amato, who, what is it, Pete, 2 for 51 at Churchill, or whatever it is?
No,
I doubt that. I doubt the great Frank Mustari is going to let that bother him, that's for sure. No. Frank, tell us about Gregorian Chant.
Yeah, no, that won't bother me one bit. Those kind of stats, some people look at them. I really don't take it into account. But this is my chance, in my opinion, to make a big score. I am playing Rosario again, and like I said 10 minutes ago, I guess if I'm right in race 9 with Rosario, the chances of me winning with him twice in a row is next to near impossible. So I'll preface that, but I just really, really like Gregorian Chant. I'm hoping Rosario gives me a ride where he could break mid-pack and not do like he likes to do in grandstand and come from last here. And I think if he breaks mid-pack, I do not like the speed horses here at all. I think that all of them, in my opinion, are horses that need to be loose on the lead to run their best. And I don't think anybody's going to get that. I know you guys
just
are
real quick. I just want to speak to that. I mean, Caravel, I don't know if Caravel needs the lead, but a lot of the horses you mentioned, Chasing Artie is the speed horse. The real speed is on the outside. Frank, I just want to bring this up for the viewers who might not be aware. I mean, you got Arrest Me Red is quick. Just Might is tailing off, has to have the lead. Johnny Unleashed ran a huge race out of nowhere last time, but basically just followed the best turf sprinter in the world, probably in Golden Pal. So I think you're right. I think Guru Chen just might work out a great trip from the inside.
Yeah. So if this was the old 3-4 years ago, and it was the big Derby contest on one of my entries, I would be close to all in on day one on this horse. That's how strongly I feel about it.
Okay.
So he'll be a big win bet for me. I'll use the 8 and the 9 with him. Again, as you can see, I think those are going to be, horses who are going to close. I'm looking for the race to really fall apart, and I'm hoping that I get that 10-1 on Gregorian Chant, because it'll be my chance to make a real nice score going into Derby Day.
Oh, for sure. Well, good luck with Gregorian Chant. I think you've gained some new fans here on the show. They're definitely going to be using Gregorian Chant. I'm similar to Paul. I just want to mention I do have a Gregorian Chant as a B right now. In fact, I have 8. Count them 8 A and B horses. I think this is absolutely ridiculously wide open. Just very quick, I like Arrest Me Red. Pete, I think you made up a good point. That last race was a complete prep. He was sort of in between horses a lot, too. It just wasn't a very comfortable spot. And if you're going Gulfstream 5 furlongs, you have to get a clean trip and or be like very close to the lead. It just didn't work out. Arrest Me Red is much better. I do like Pyron, who we haven't mentioned. That 6-1 I think might come down because it's Pratt. He's in fantastic form. If it is going to fall apart, Frank, I think Pyron might be the one to go with your Gregorian Chant. And then I've always respected Gear Jockey. I had him last year in the Turf Sprint at Kentucky Downs. He has not been great since. I have a feeling he might run better on Friday. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited to talk about what's happening next. We have a surprise guest I've been touting for the last few days. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk about the Kentucky Oaks. This is, of course, the biggest race of the day on Friday. And I was thinking, it's a big race day. There's a lot of money on the line. Who's been doing well? Who can maybe get us home? Who has some good thoughts? And there's only one person I can think of, and I'm very happy to call him a friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you the 2021 BC champion, winner of over $500,000 in the contest, Mr. Matt Miller. Matt, how you doing tonight?
I can only imagine the disappointment as your viewers were expecting something so incredible.
I was looking for Chad Brown or Todd Fletcher. Sorry, Matt, but you're right. I'm a little disappointed.
Hey, it had to be someone with no hair though, or else you wouldn't have fit. I mean, you only fit this one on the bald side a bit.
Paul was hoping it was Brittany Ayrton. Sorry, Paul, but we're working on that one, by the way, Paul. We're working on getting Brittany on. He's got no comment.
No comment, right. Paul. Mute yourself.
Yeah, you're working on it, and you're not doing that well, which means I may have to start working on it.
Wow. I sent her emails. What do you want me to do? She is going to come on, but she's a little busy with the Derby and Oaks.
Yeah, this is a tough week for those.
Yeah. It's for all the famous people, so we bring on Matt. Matt, listen, first of all, congratulations for having us, for coming on the show, and congratulations, of course, to all your successes. You've been on an absolute roll. For people that don't know, by the way, 2 NHC seats you picked up recently also for next year. Is that correct?
That is correct, and not too many swings, so glad to get that out of the way.
Wow. I mean, absolutely on fire. Matt, here's what we're going to do. And again, our Pete, Paul, and Frank don't know exactly the angle that we're going to go. We're going to talk about the Oaks guys for about 15 to 20 minutes here. And Matt, I thought you'd be a great person to have on because even though you have said on the Steve Bick Show and other places, you are a self-proclaimed B-. That's right, B- handicapper, which is hard to believe, but you said it yourself. However, I know you're too humble to say it, but I know you are an A+++ money manager. So as we talk about the Kentucky Oaks, the reason what I'd like you to focus on, Matt, is the Oaks Derby Double. Now, Pete, Paul, and Frank, I don't know if you plan on playing the Oaks Derby Double. I'm going to let Matt just go ahead and talk about his Oaks Derby Double strategy before we actually get into the details of the handicapping. So, Matt, first of all, what do you like to do on these big days? And talk about your general strategy with doubles, because I know you like to play doubles in contests a lot. I'm assuming Frank will play a double once in a while also in a live money contest.
Yeah, look, these are the days that I like. I don't enjoy playing the game of guessing trainer intent. These are the days that everyone's pointing to. And so I just feel that there's a lot fewer variables than normal. You're going to see the best that these animals have and that these people have. So these are fun days. At the same time, I do think the money management side is tough, especially given that it's a 2-day thing, a little bit like the Breeders' Cup, where if you're playing the Oaks, setting money aside for both days is difficult. It is the reason I actually love this double, not just this year, but in any year. This can really help you avoid putting a lot of money in the Kentucky Derby if you can help it. And, you know, in general, I think most of the time we try to bet a lot of money when we have a lot of confidence. I don't get a sense that there's a lot of confidence in this year's Derby. So if we can find a way to hook up a double where you don't have to put a whole bunch more money in, that would be terrific.
Now, your general strategy, now it's a $1 bet. Let's just throw a number. I threw a number out to you a few days ago. Let's just say $100, which is probably a lot more than most people would play in this double. Let's just throw that number out there. In general, are you more likely to take a stand with these big fields and go like 1/10 and try to play it for $10? Or do you think it's better, Matt, to possibly spread and go, maybe, 6/6 and try to hit it only 2 or 3 times?
I'll answer for Matt. He's making $100 straight double. And I'll answer for him.
Yeah, in fairness, it totally depends on the circumstances. So if I'm in a tournament, absolutely. I'm looking for maximum leverage and looking to maximize my strongest opinions. When it comes to playing cash, it's tougher. And you have to ask yourself what you're trying to do. I know that sounds like a simple question, but it's a question most people don't really have an answer to. When you're sitting with a large group of people and you're playing socially, you might just be trying to hit it. And it would be fun to be able to stand up and say, I hit the Oaks Derby double. In which case I'd say, yeah, you should be spreading a little bit more because maybe profits aren't your main motive. If your main motive is to make money, you have to focus on your opinions. And I think you have to tighten up where you need to tighten up. For me, and I'm sure we'll get to it, for the Oaks this year, I only need 2 horses, at least in my opinion. One of them's not going to be a very popular pick. I think the other one will be popular. We can talk about how we weight those. But in the Derby, honestly, I really don't have much of an opinion. And so I'm going to go somewhat skinny, hoping to be alive to something pretty large. Being alive to something large will leave me tempted to bet very little after that. And so, like I said, my hope is to sit there more as a fan than as an active participant by being live to something.
Frank, I'm going to let you chime in as the other, major, live money contest player here along with myself. I know that you already talked about it, you like to go skinny. You think, although that's not probably as popular with the general public because people like to have a lot of skins in the game, a lot of horses, you would also recommend just to take a stand and try to hit it multiple times, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think me and Matt are, a lot on the same. We come from that contest world, and if you're going to have success in the contest world, spreading because of the limited bankroll is not going to get you there, So you got to pick your best plays of the day, and I'm hoping Matt's going to give out his best play for the Derby so that when I get to that point against them, I can have a little bit of room to hedge, know what he's doing. So if he wants to share that, we can do that, man. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, that's exactly how I would do it too. I don't, my live betting normal every day. I don't really spread a lot. There'll be cases this weekend where I'll try to hit a superfecta for the craziness, where I'm spreading a lot, but typically I'm going pretty skinny and trying to, take advantage of my strong plays.
All right, Matt, so let's just jump right in. Let's tell the whole world your idea right now for the Oaks Derby double. And I think I'll go ahead and bring up, actually, I'm going to hold on for the PPs because we're going to deep dive into handicapping when you're done with your explanation, Matt. So we're going to hold off for the PPs just for now. Matt, tell us your strategy for the 2022 Oaks Derby double this year.
All right, so I know this first part will make you happy because I really do throw away the morning lines. So if you are tortured by these, you don't really have to think about them very hard. this is really a case where you have to start with your own value line or what you think the horse is worth. And it does require a little bit of math where you do need to do the parlay for yourself as you look at the horses you like in each race to make sure you're being paid appropriately. You might get surprised with who the favorite is in the next race as you look at the probables. But to me, it's absolutely critical. You have to get the right value for what you're looking for. And so for me in this Oaks, like I said, there are two horses. In the Derby, you can go in so many different directions that my choice in this particular year, some will look at it as somewhat of a cop out. So I'll get to the Derby first, I guess. I have found comparing this year's preps to be darn near impossible. And so I'm going to take the approach that I would take in a typical year of the NCAA tournament. If you just close your eyes and you pay no attention to basketball all year long, and then you have to fill out a bracket at the end of the year, you know pretty much that it's going to be Duke and North Carolina and Kansas and whoever. And it's amazing, even this year, that ended up being pretty accurate. And I'm just kind of making that up for this year. The Florida Derby every year seems to be extremely relevant in determining the winner of the Kentucky Derby. And so I'm just sticking with that. My picks are White Abarrio and Charge It. And my hope is that this plays out like a typical year where that race remains extremely relevant. I know that a bunch of these preps ended up super sexy after that. And so people got drawn to all these different horses. Yeah, I'm sticking with the Florida Derby.
Wow. Okay. Well, listen, those are two. We talked about both those horses yesterday. I especially think Charge is interesting. Who do you like in the Oaks, Matt, that you're going to pair up with? And then I want to show a very interesting graphic on the screen that I know Pete Visco is going to love because it gets into some interesting numbers. So, yes. Matt, who do you like? Who are you going to pair up with in the Oaks then?
So before the morning lines came out, I wanted Nest, and I thought I'd be getting about 7-2. I'm a little worried about value at this point because of the morning line and because of the impact that has. I also don't love the angle of playing a favorite whose odds are above its morning line odds. So this one's going to put me in a bit of a pickle, but I do still like the horse. I do still expect it'll be 3-1, 7-2, something like that. The horse that I like the most, though, I am back to liking Echo Zulu. It was actually, for me, the start of my run in that Breeders' Cup last year. And I feel like it's just a good, solid contrarian play at this point. You've heard just so many people against the horse, whether they're questioning the distance or the surface or the wet. This horse shows up every single time. I'm not too worried about the other speed. I just can't imagine that they're, again, this feels a little bit like last year's Breeders' Cup.
I was just going to say.
I don't believe that every speed duel materializes. And I'm just not convinced that these two horses are going to beat each other up real badly. And I think Echo Zulu is going to be well positioned top of the stretch. And we'll see what happens from there.
Boy, does that sound so much like your Knicks Go thought. And by the way, people don't know, last year Matt went all in the last race of the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge on Knicks Go and ended up basically winning the tournament because of that. With that exact same thought, and I mentioned to these guys, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, when we were talking about the Oaks horses, a few days ago, the pace scenario when there's only two major speeds, if one of them doesn't break, if somehow Echo Zulu outbreaks Yuguri, the one inside of him, Matt, I don't think it's impossible. Now, I've got something very interesting on the screen that, again, the guys on my screen don't even know about. I think this is fascinating. So let me go ahead and bring this up here. What you're seeing here for everyone, I'm going to go full screen for everyone to see. This is, you can see on the top, this is what the double actually paid versus the parlay. Of course, here are the years it goes up. Here's the win payouts for the horses in the Oaks and Derby. What you see right here is the parlay. For those of you who don't know what the parlay is, that means what the double should have paid. And this is for $2. So, for example, last year, if you go strictly by the win odds, the $2 double should have paid $91.70 and ended up paying $95.80. Therefore, the actual payout was 4.47% higher than it should have been. And you look, there's some fascinating things. I mean, look at 2019, 39% higher. The one I thought was, look at 2016, everyone. Catherine Sophia with Nyquist, it should have paid 37. It paid 58. That was 56% percent higher than it should have. So Matt, when you saw this stat, what did you glean from this? What do you think we should learn from this page here?
Well, so there's a couple things. One possible accounting for some of the difference is just the fact that there's only takeout once on a double. I recognize that the takeout on win bets is smaller than doubles, but that could account for a little bit. Otherwise, I think what I get from that is these pools aren't perfectly correlated, and there is variance. And like I said, you have to look at the probables and the value you're getting. Crazy things could happen in the way the Derby gets bet. Huge people come in with win bets that could alter the odds somehow.
So I hear.
Right. So, like I said, this doesn't, to me, it certainly doesn't talk me out of the double. If anything, it tells me, you might be able to get a little juice out of it. Yeah.
Now, I sent you something. Can you let me just tell everyone? Mattress Mac is going to put somewhere around $3 million on the Derby. What he thinks is the favorite. And he said today, courtesy of Horse Racing Nation, I want to give them credit. Mattress Mac said today through Horse Racing Nation that he's mainly going to look at the double will pays on Friday to determine who he's going to put the $3 million on Saturday. So Matt, that obviously would tell everyone that the value might be in the double and not on the win end for the horse you like in the Derby, correct?
That certainly would lead to that, yeah.
Pete, any thoughts that that Matt had said, or if you looked at that screen, anything that stood out to you? I'll go ahead and bring that back in case for people to see.
No, I think it's interesting though. I think to a little bit to Matt's point maybe is too that because a lot of people who, these 2 days, especially Saturday, but both days are sort of, you get people out of the woodworks who don't necessarily bet horses that much. So maybe they're more inclined to make win bets as opposed to looking at, sort of, especially like an Oaks Derby double. It's not something that jumps out to the average horse player. They might not even know that it exists. So they're putting their money, a lot of this extra money is going into the win pool and maybe not into the double pool, which is why I agree that that's definitely a good place to look. And as long as you have access and you're able to look at the, the projected payouts, then definitely look for value there.
Paul, any quick thoughts before we get into the handicapping of the Oaks in terms of the double or anything that Matt mentioned?
No, I think the searching for value is a point well taken, and I think it takes a lot of discipline, which is probably why I have a hard time with it, Matt. But you just have to be. You can't get married to your own opinions, and those of us who are half Irish and half Italian and stubborn have a hard time divorcing our own opinion. But and I think Matt Nest is a really good example. And who knows if this morning line is good? I have him as an A in my ABC scenario, but would I be in a hurry to bet him at 5-2 or lower? Absolutely not. We'll talk about the Derby tomorrow. I was in on Zandon a long time ago, when the bandwagon wasn't quite as full as it is now. Fortunately, I do have a small future bet on him. I have some exactas. Am I going to bet him if he's 5-2 on Saturday? Certainly not on the win end. I may be playing him in tries and supers and vertical plays. So the double, like you do have the advantage of having those probables, and not everyone is going to pay attention to the 2-day double. Whereas, on a given day with the rolling doubles now, people might be more in tune. So I think those are points well taken. And, hopefully I'm kind of with Frank, if you can find something you like in one end of it, that you can really hit it hard with the horses you like, and, maybe spread a little if your horse is a price and try to get a number home, but, take advantage of your opinions.
Well, and just one quick point to make is just think how many times you go to the track with a strong opinion about the last race in the day, and how many times you get to the last race in the day without $1 in your pocket left to bet on. And so it really is the money management aspect of this that I find so appealing. if you can hit the Oaks, you know for a fact that you're alive in the Derby. That's a big deal. It's going to save your entire day.
I just want to answer Leo's question, then Matt will let you have your final say and then leave the show. I know you have some things you have to do this evening. Leo and Matt, you can speak to this. We actually talked about this earlier today. For the double, Leo, there are probable will pays. So you can look to see, for example, if you like Nest to Zandon, you should be able to look on your ADW and go into probables and look at the double will pays, and you should be able to see what it's approximately going to pay. Obviously, anything other than outside of doubles, you can't do that. Go ahead, Matt.
Just be careful, because the different ADWs mess with the units, and sometimes it's a $1 unit and sometimes it's a $2.
Yeah.
You really have to be careful and disciplined with your math. The other quick thing I'll say, and just to volunteer it, my own value line on these horses, I think I got, like I said, 3-1, 7-2 on Nest, 4-1 on Echo Zulu. For me, in the Derby, it was 8 and 10-1 on White Abario and Charge It. And like I said, you need to do your math before you look at the will pay, or before you look at the probables. You should know what you want to see. It should be somewhat of an automatic decision. And when you see the number being a lot lower, you can either get disappointed, or you can ask yourself whether other people are seeing the same thing, and perhaps that makes your opinion stronger. I'm not sure that's the wisest strategy, but it's a way to look at it.
Well, we're going to go about 15 minutes more. Frank, I hope that's okay with you. Sorry, we're going a little bit late. Do you guys have any questions for the BC champion before we talk about handicapping the Oaks?
No
questions. All right. Matt, any final thoughts about this weekend, or anything you want to say to the wonderful audience that we have here tonight?
Frank, good to see you again. Always good to see another Chicago guy. Pete and Paul, you've been a great addition to the show. Nice to meet you. Hope to see you again sometime. And
Thank you.
Howard, anytime. You bet.
Thanks, Matt. Have a great night, and good luck to you this weekend in the Oaks and the Derby. Take care,
Good
Matt.
luck
Thanks
this weekend, Matt.
Take care, Matt. Good luck.
All righty. Matt Miller, great guy. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get to the whoops, sorry, I want to do that. Let's get to the handicapping of the race again. We'll go relatively quickly. We've talked about all these horses. If you missed the show, go back and look. Oh, geez, I'd have to. Was it episode 133 or 32? I'm losing the days. But anyway, go back a few episodes, and we exclusively, the second half of the episode, talked about all these Oaks horses, which is why we're not going to spend half an hour right now going through the race. You see the field right there. The morning line favorite has been discussed is Nest at 5-2. And Frank, as our guest tonight, I'm going to let you go first. We see the picks at the bottom of the screen coming up here. Frank Mustari, who are you going with in this year's Kentucky Oaks?
Well, before I forget, Howard, when you talk to Matt again, I wish I would have asked him this question. And he likes Echo Zulu, but I would have liked to ask him. He didn't bring up Hidden Connection at way bigger price, and they ran neck and neck last time. So I always like to hear, like, why would he not like Hidden Connection? Maybe he just didn't say it, but I probably should have asked him. But that's something I would like to ask him, why he didn't bring that up.
I can answer that question in general.
Okay.
He feels about Echo Zulu similar to he feels like Knicks Go, where there's supposed to be some crazy speed duel Friday. He thinks Echo Zulu is a very talented animal, and just thinks that he might get loose, or she might get loose, and that she might not be fully respected, Frank, because people are going to think, and jockeys, that she'll fall back eventually, and she might actually get loose. So that was and he hates losing with horses that wires fields like I do. So anyway, that was his thought. Who do you like in the Oaks, Frank?
Yeah, my only question mark in the race, and I'm still deciphering this, and Matt, who I respect a ton, obviously, with his success in contest, the Echo Zulu Hidden Connection race last time out, I don't know what to make of that race, actually. If I can convince myself one way or the other, my top choice is Kathleen O. And Kathleen O is a horse that playing the Gulfstream circuit. Any horse that does what Kathleen O has done several times in a row at Gulfstream, be 4 wide. Now, again, she is a wide horse, and that's a little bit of a negative, I think, typically. But anybody who can make and consistently make that 4 wide move at Gulfstream and just keep on coming and finish up like she looks like she wants to keep on going, to me, that just shows a true superstar. So that's why that's my top pick. I do respect Echo Zulu and Hidden Connection both. I still got to decipher if I'm going to be using those significantly with Kathleen O. But right now, I'm a big Kathleen O. Goddess of Fire is my price in the race, and next is another horse. But unless something changes, I'm going to be a Kathleen O. Goddess of Fire, big exacta here, and start my double off using both of those going forward to the Derby. And Kathleen O will be the one that I really have a lot of pressure on. Almost as a single going into the Oaks Derby doubles.
Sounds like a true fan of Gulfstream Park, but listen, these are really good horses. Frank, I'm sure you've seen this race. I'll let you talk through the replay. This is the stretch run. Goddess of Fire on the outside taking the lead and really making Kathleen O work very hard to the wire.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and this is what I always think about things is, some of the Goddess of Fire who, up on a pace, not a real fast pace. So I expected that one to keep going. And right here, I'm not sure I would want Kathleen O when you're watching the replay again.
Yeah.
But she just keeps on grinding and wears them down. And then when she, gets by the horse, she goes again. When he asked her to run right here, she gathered the leader pretty quickly and runs by. And that gap to third, is just, I don't even know how 15, 20, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But these two, to me, are definitely, strong plays for me. And I will say, Howard, it's not just a Gulfstream thing, because in the Derby, I don't like the Florida Derby contenders. So I disagree with Matt on that. So when it comes to the last race in the Derby, we won't be trying to outbet each other because we're on different animals the way it sounds. But
by the way, it was 17 and quarter lengths back to third. But frankly, these horses up behind are just not very good.
Right. They're not very good either. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Okay, so he's going with Kathleen O, a very talented horse. Paul Halloran, who do you like in the Oaks?
Well, Howard, I find myself in a situation here where I can come up what I think is a legitimate knock on all the logicals, which leads me to someone very illogical, the 13, Shahama. Todd Pletcher does very well in this race. So I'll talk about Shahama first. And obviously it's 4 for 4, so that's not a mystery. Now, I mentioned the other night, the horses she's beaten have not come back to win, so that's a negative. But, this horse is running in Dubai. It's a Kentucky-bred horse that was sold in Ocala, and, who knows why they decided to go to Dubai with her. But, looking at the logicals, Secret Oath, even though it was against the boys, they crawled home in that race, 26-3 for the last quarter. I think that she might be a little over the top. Nest, no real knocks, although I think the price is going to be way lower than it should be. And she did have a workout this week at Churchill where she didn't really look that good. Echo Zulu, I respect what Matt had to say. I think that is a definite possibility. I still think if she has any contention up front at all, she's going to have trouble in the last 16th of a mile. And Kathleen O, again, I respect what Frank said, but I don't know how great that field was. The horse has not worked that well, although Shug says she's not a great workhorse. I think she's maybe a little wider than you want to be. So, I could see any of those horses winning. I'll be using all of them in my pick 5, but I am going to take a swing here with Shahama.
She's interesting. She's been outworking some of the other horses, in the morning. So apparently she's not a great breaker. So I think she'll be coming from a little further back. That was according to Todd
and Pratt. I'm also, if you watch the last race at Churchill today, I put a tweet out after the race. I said, watching that race, having Pratt in the Oaks and Derby, I feel even better about it now.
I'm getting all these. I'm getting like texts and people like I got a direct message or something today. Are you playing the pick 5? I'm so busy right now, everyone. I am not touching my wall until Friday. Just to let everyone know, I have no idea what's happened to Churchill. I haven't watched a Churchill race. I'm just trying to get through the week with my wonderful math students and my podcast and handicapping. I'm not betting a dime until Friday. Pete, again, we're going to move along a little bit just because it's getting late, but I want to give you your just due. Your three top choices are the ones we've all mentioned, and you also have Kathleen O on top, along with myself and Frank.
Yeah, I'll try and go quick. So Kathleen, no, I just, again, I've said it a million times. I'm a sucker for a closer, and she's one of the better ones we've seen. And the one thing I did like about that race, just watching it live, I was just thinking they're running this horse. It was almost like an old Zenyatta who's back on my wall back here, but where they were riding her like, hey, we just want to keep her out of trouble. We don't care where she is, wide, last. We just want to keep her out of trouble, and she's going to roll by this field. And Goddess of Fire is a good horse. I mean, I don't love her on top, but I think she's a good horse. So it's not like she beat all, garbage in that race. So I just really like that horse. And I mean, 7-2 is a little bit lower than I would have hoped for, but I mean, I think you can pass it up. And then Nest, again, I think Nest is going to be a little bit closer. So even if Echo Zulu does get a little bit of a free lead, I think Nest is strong enough to sit in that second level, sit right off the speed, probably Echo Zulu and Ujiri, get first run, and then make that, and should be able to tackle that horse down the lane. And I have a lot more faith in Nest in that last 1/8 of a mile, 1/16 of a mile than maybe I do Echo Zulu. And then last, to piggyback on my man Paul with Shahama, just watching, as we talked about a couple of days ago, I watched those 4 races, and she was just really impressive. Again, she wasn't beating the best horses, but she sort of toyed with them, even though some of those distances, some of those win margins don't look as big as maybe you would expect. But she really toyed with those fields. She seemed like she could come from the back. She can come from the middle. And one last point is, a lot of times when these foreign horses come over for our dirt races, the trainer's foreign, the jockey's foreign. So everything is new. They're not used to how we train. They're not used to how the tracks are. They're not used to how to ride the horses in these sort of dirt races, different from obviously when they come over for the turf. But now you have Pletcher, who's obviously one of the best, and you have Pratt, who's going to ride this horse beautifully. And this horse has been outworking Goddess of Fire a little bit. So at least you have some reference point. So those are the 3 top ones for me. And I'm going to let that ride, but I might add, I probably have some B's where I'd go a little bit deeper, but those are the 3 on top for me.
I have not too much to add. Everyone who's listening tonight, thanks again, everyone, as we're going to be ending the show in about 5 minutes from now. We want to show our pick 5 tickets, and then we'll wrap it up. I have Kathleen O on top. I agree with everyone has said. I think she's ultra talented. I am petrified that the pace is not going to set up for this horse, because it just seems to happen to be a lot where, there looks like there's enough pace. Maybe Kathleen O doesn't need a fast pace, by the way, either. That is also possible. The other thing I just want to mention, and I'm not going to talk about the weather, but Kathleen O did break her maiden on a wet track. So we go look at the PPs. I just want to mention that. I'm very chalky here. I hate to do that, and it's such a huge race, but everyone knows I'm not afraid to go with the price horse. I've got Kathleen O on top, as you can see. I would put Nest on top. I don't like the 5-2 morning line. I think she's going to be maybe even 2-1. And I'm not 100% sure the trip is going to work out. She's got hidden connection to her inside. She might be like in between horses. I mean, she got such a perfect trip in the Ashland, although she ran tremendously. I don't think she towers over this field. She should not be 2-1 or 5-2. That's ridiculous to me. And then I've got Echo Zulu. Even though I don't like the horse, I don't think she's going to win, but I have to use her somewhere, because if she does get loose, I had Serengeti Empress a few years ago, and everyone said that horse couldn't get the distance and win. And sure enough, I think she was like 11-1 when she won that race. So Echo Zulu is not going to be 11-1, but I'm just petrified of her somehow, outbreaking Yaguri, getting the lead, and all of us looking like complete idiots because we said this horse can't get the distance. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring on our pick 5s. We're not really going to talk about them too much. I am going to leave them on screen for a good 10, 15 seconds if people want to write them down. Of course, you can watch the replays. There's my pick 5. I agree with Frank. I'm singling Olympiad. Now, again, I'll be playing an ABC ticket. This is not the ticket I'm going to play on Friday. But if I were to play a caveman, I asked everyone for a sub 100. Someone didn't listen to me, but that's okay, no problem. We got one ticket that's over $100, but I'm gonna let it slide because it's Oaks weekend and Derby weekend. I've got my single is Olympiad. You can see I'm pretty spready after that, and I'm going chalky in the Oaks. So I'm going chalk on the beginning, chalk in the end, hoping to get a price in the middle. Frank, just very briefly talk about how you'd put together. And look, like I said, Frank's going to pound this thing and hit it 5 times. Only 150. Frank, real quickly, your ticket here, sir.
Yeah, the same thing as you talked about, singling Olympiad early, Kathleen O late, and pretty much exactly what you see there. I'll have that ticket a bunch of times, but then I'll have it even more times with Gregorian Chant as a single also. So I'll play that ticket a bunch, and then I'll throw out the 8 and the 9, and I'll single Gregorian Chant. So I'll have 3 singles,
Oh,
and
wow.
then 1 spread, and then basically the Chads in the other one, and I'll try to hit this thing, multiple times. And that's how I play. That's just how I play. That's just how I do it every day. So this is not different. And I don't like to have losing tickets, is what I always tell my friends. And by spreading too much, there's a lot of losing tickets for me, and I don't like that. So when I'm right, I'm going to do well. When I'm wrong, I'm only going to have a few losing combinations, I guess.
Boy, I hope for you Gregorian Chant wins. That's what we call a separator in the horizontal betting world, because very few people would think about singling Gregorian Chant. If that comes through, Frank, that'd be fantastic. Paul, very briefly talk about your pick 5.
So yeah, I went with what I thought were the 2 logicals to start out: Olympiad and Folsom. In Chad, we trust in the second leg. My spread leg was the third leg. I'm hoping to get Ain't Easy home. That's my price in the sequence, or the 6 that I think Frank liked as well, Gerrymander. That horse could be a little bit of a separator. In the turf race, Caravel, who's kind of a logical, the 10, who you guys both like, but the 2 is my price there, the Learjet. I talked about him. And then I'm 3 deep in the Oaks with Nest, Kathleen O as a logical, and my price play, Shahama. But I went 108, and if you guys would all donate $2 each, and I put in $2, that brings it down to only 100. And I'll probably be more, because I can't go into the last leg and not be alive to my guy Raylu Howard. 3 wins on the card today. Hottest
what I heard.
jockey at Churchill Downs, Raylu Gutierrez. So that's my play.
Everyone donate to the channel. There's 2 places you can donate, so we can get Paul his extra $8 so he can make this bet. Pete,
Frank's
your
only cost $31.50. He can certainly throw $8 my way, and
you can do that, Paul.
Under $40.
Right. Between the 2 of us, we're still way under 200, so you can use up my budget.
All right, Frank. I love it.
Yeah.
Pete, go ahead with your ticket.
By the way, Howard, yours was at 100 and you said sub 100. So for a math teacher, that's probably something you can let your students know. So I just wanted to put that out there to defend my man, Paul. But right, you see it on your face.
You know what? Let me ask. Now, this is an honest question. I'm gonna detour for 2 minutes. Who cares? We got a lot of people watching. When you hear in baseball, when a team wins and they say they're within 2 games of the lead, but they're at 2. Like when they're 2 games out, people say they're within 2. I've heard that a million times in my life. What's the difference between that and saying sub 100, Pete? There, drop the mic. Take that.
Well, now, I remember, Howard, I do words for a living. You do numbers.
Go ahead.
The definition of sub is under.
What about within? Isn't within less than?
Yeah, but they're not math teachers. So,
but
no, within
means
2
less
or
than.
Less. No.
Yeah, no. I agree with you, Howard, but that doesn't make you right on this ticket.
Within, that's like you're inside the 2. That's like 1.5. Anyway, we're starting to lose people. Pete, go ahead with your ticket.
Yeah, not too much. I mean, this one went really thick in a few of the legs. Went with the 5-6 to try and catch the price, to try and catch Folsom and maybe beat Olympiad in the first one. And then we go a little thicker in the 2. And hopefully, actually, my play would be in that second leg, where if the 7 it can try and beat the 3 Chad horses, you can definitely get value there, because there's no way those 3 horses aren't taking money. And I singled the third leg, but that's one where I'll probably go deeper on sort of a secondary ticket, maybe use this one as a higher denomination, but go a little bit deeper in that third, because it's kind of a wide open race. And then it's a free for all in the fourth leg. And then hope to get to Shahama, obviously, in the Oaks, and really blow this ticket up, me and Paul.
Yeah, listen, that would be tremendous for you guys if Shahama gets home. There's a few comments I want to end with on the chat here that I just wanted to throw out to end. Christine Race. Christine, thank you very much. You always have wonderful comments. Really appreciate it. Best show ever. Well, Christine, we've got another one tomorrow night for the Kentucky Derby. So for Derby Day. So don't leave us there. Paul, thank you very much. I really appreciate your comments there. Tom Espinoza. Maybe I don't know about these co-hosts are giving me a hard time. Anyway, and then my good friend Brad Anderson, also good friends of Matt Miller. Frank, we really appreciate you throwing some kudos to Frank for coming on. Frank, I'm going to let you have the last word as our guest. First of all, I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Sorry we went a little bit long. Any thoughts for the viewers and anything else that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, just keep track of the plays that I gave. And then tomorrow, when you have my son Justin on, let's compare who gave out more winners, because I'm still trying to become the best handicapper in the household still. Ever since he won the NHC, I've been known for a while now as Justin's dad. I'm trying to get my identity back. So hopefully by some of these podcasts, I can do that. But thanks for having me. Had a great time, and good luck to you guys over the whole weekend.
Hey Frank, did you give him the tab from all the years when you were giving him money and supporting him along the way? You should have gave him a little tab after he got that NHC check.
Yeah, the tab was when we got to the airport Monday morning, I bought breakfast, and
that is
the truth, obviously. And he'll tell you that he's sitting not too far from me here downstairs in his room, trying to still buy a house with that money, and the market's going crazy. But he's got an offer in, so hopefully Oaks Day he gets some good news that he gets his. And then when he moves out, I'll definitely be the best handicapper in the house. That'll be good.
Wow. Well, listen, Frank. Tomorrow, the first thing I'm going to do is say this is Frank's son, Justin. I won't say.
There you go. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We're just gonna turn that puppy around. Frank, really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you very much, Pete and Paul. Great job as always. We wish everyone plenty of success on Friday, Oaks Day. For Pete Visco, Paul Halloran, and our guest, Frank Mustari, this has been Howard Kravitz, episode 134 of the HHH Racing Podcast. Make sure you check us out tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, with Frank's son, the 2021 NHC champion, talking about Justin Mustari, talking about Kentucky Derby Day. Take care, everyone. We hope to see you tomorrow night. Good night.